Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It turns out that today, VGC actually got some news that a new Tom Clancy Splinter Cell game has been greenlit by Ubisoft. Now, as excited as I am about this news because I did stream the entire series, shameless plug, on my YouTube channel, I'm also incredibly worried about this possibility of a new Splinter Cell game. Now, the reason for me being concerned about this new announcement is actually twofold. Once Chaos Theory was complete, you did see the actual quality of Splinter Cell games take a nosedive. In fact, it got so bad that it felt like a lot of the developers and what Splinter Cell was becoming clearly lost its way. And Blacklist, although pretty good, didn't really fit and was trying to do too many things at once and not really hone in on what made Splinter Cell actually great in the first place. And the other reason why I'm concerned is because it's Ubisoft. Current day Ubisoft. Now, we all know what they like to do. Try to make some wacky open world, try to put in some really cool little gadgets here and there, remake the formula, slap on microtransactions, and then call it a day. But you know what? Before we even jump the gun, let's take a look at the article from VGC. A decade later, Ubisoft has finally greenlit a new Splinter Cell, sources claim. Ubisoft has greenlit what will be its first mainline Splinter Cell game in a decade. That's according to development sources who told us that the title has been put into production as a means of winning back fans frustrated by the recent efforts to revive the franchise in the mobile and VR spaces. Now, I really do think the words frustrated are just the tip of the iceberg. There have been multiple instances of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell just being paraded around as either a little bonus here and there or something special here and there, even after 10 years of being completely inactive. On top of that, the quality of the series being greatly diminished over time really didn't help the fact that a lot of people who grew up with the series and especially loved games like Chaos Theory and Pandora Tomorrow and even the original Splinter Cell were being felt shafted and out in the cold. Now, it's no secret that Ubisoft has completely removed itself from that type of single-player, narrative-driven, stealth-based gameplay, and they've really opted more for that open world sprinkling of stealth here and there. Of course, whatever they can do to make more money off of you is always going to be the best course of action. But let's continue with the article and see what else they have to say. It's not clear which studios are working on the project, though two people with knowledge of Ubisoft's plans suggest the new Splinter Cell was being led by a studio outside of its traditional Montreal base. The title is in an early phase of production, the sources said, but there's a small chance it could be announced next year. The much requested sequel will arrive at a time when the company is looking to rebuild its image following a wave of discrimination and sexual harassment allegations. Employee groups say that they are not satisfied with the level of action taken by Ubisoft to change its culture. Ubisoft declined to comment when approached ahead of publication. Splinter Cell is a series of stealth games published by Tom Clancy label. The game stars Sam Fisher, Black Ops. The most recent one was Blacklist, yada yada, yada yada. Now, this could mean, like I said before, really great news, especially with a lot of the blowback that Ubisoft has been having recently in terms of the PR front and also in terms of Splinter Cell fans being completely neglected throughout so many years. That doesn't mean we should all be celebrating right off the bat immediately by hearing this news. This could in fact just be a teaser being announced next year, which is what I would probably think it would be. Maybe just Sam Fisher's goggles pop off on a black screen, the noise hits, and then it says coming soon or something like that. Some small teaser that would show up at either like an E3 or a press event or something along that nature to get people excited about that. They'd have some small details, say, oh, we're going to be focusing on this specific aspect of Tom Clancy and Splinter Cell. Sam Fisher's going to make his return. They may do it as a reboot, personally, is probably what they'll do because Sam Fisher's story is done and they even changed Sam Fisher for Blacklist, so I really don't know what approach they'll take. It would be nice just to actually have something that Ubisoft actually truly would have been able to push forward and have a great series of games with if they just kept sticking to the formula. A lot of those devs during that time getting up to Chaos Theory were finding their stride as they made game after game after game. And even then though, Chaos Theory would have been even better if they were given that free reign to continue moving with that formula and perfecting it across that course of time. Now with games like Hitman making a big resurgence recently, and a lot of other games being more single player narrative driven focused and still being successful, this may be the best time for Ubisoft to go out and say, hey, we could definitely do this kind of game, there's a need for this kind of game, and there's a fan base wanting this kind of game. Of course, I'm thinking about it in terms of the best case scenario. On the other hand, however, like I said before, this is Ubisoft in its current form and current day. This could become an absolute train wreck and nightmare, trying to do anything they possibly can in order to squeeze any amount of money from this IP as they possibly can. Now, I may not get a lot of backlash for this hot take, but Ubisoft games are the most middling of middle type of games to actually play. I feel that right now they are the absolute most boring types of games to play. They slap you in an open world, they fill you with microtransactions, and then they keep you moving on from there, drip feeding you small pieces of content here and there, or small upgrades throughout while you play, and they just homogenize everything into one gray matter glob of what they would consider to be a video game. There's truly nothing that is outstanding or even stands out from a Ubisoft title from one to another besides either the setting or the main character. Now with that being said, I want to pose the question to you, the viewer. What do you think about this news? Do you think this is actually something that's going to be happening? And if it is going to happen, how do you think Ubisoft will actually approach it? I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below and get your feedback, thoughts, and ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great one, and I'll see you next time.